Yeah. Video. Ooh, fancy.
So did you just recently quit teaching?
So I got, it's real complicated. So right after the Carol Awards in 2023, my health went downhill really, really fast. So I went on medical leave for like 6 months from teaching. So I officially quit about a year ago when it became clear that it wasn't going to be resolved in any quick manner. So I'm doing other stuff now. I'm doing better health-wise, a lot better. Not back to normal. I don't know if I'll get back to normal, but I think I can get close. So that's all I can ask for.
Good. Like you're feeling well, so that's nice. Yeah. I'm glad you're better at least.
Yeah, I'm excited to be doing this kind of thing again, talking about writing and jumping back into writing.
Hey, I found it. Okay, hold on. Share. Oh, that's funny. That was my test run the other day. Hold on. It's like it's been a hot minute since we've done this.
No worries.
Oh my goodness.
This feels like right before I quit teaching, we were still having to like Zoom part of our stuff. And there was always some kind of technical difficulty trying to get the class live on Zoom.
That must have been so hard. Poor students.
The whole thing was so hard. Yeah, the whole thing was very hard. And I don't think anybody knew what to do or what anybody was doing. It was just,
yeah. I would talk to my daughter about what the grandsons were doing, and she'd say, it just seems like they're in there playing video games with their friends. And, it's like really hard to find out what their homework is. And it seemed like it was very disorganized. And I'm sure the teachers, I knew a couple teachers, and they were just like my one older daughter is a teacher, and she was having to from her phone. She didn't have a laptop.
Oh man.
Terrible.
Yeah. And so she was like putting her her phone on a shelf and trying to talk in front of it. And see who else was talking about it. My sister-in-law, kind of the same thing, because she didn't have a proper, and she was doing it from an iPad. So.
Yeah.
All right. I think we are ready and set.
Awesome.
Tune in and let us know how COVID affected your Zoom life. We still have nightmares over here. Welcome to Biblical Fiction Aficionados. We're so happy to be here today with Elizabeth Jacobson, author of the double Carol finalist, Not by Sight. Before we get into that, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. We've got the giveaway will be open through Friday. Well, let's do through Saturday, because we normally do it on Tuesday. So so the comments will be open through Saturday. And so if you are interested in a copy of Not by Sight, which is an excellent novel, I would suggest that you get in and comment whether you're here live or whether you're catching the replay, because it's a paperback for US and then a digital file for an open internationally. So really excited about that. What else, Dana? What else we got?
Well, I think you're going to give a little bit of an introduction for Elizabeth.
Do you want to talk about what you're like?
Or maybe I will.
Your stuff coming up like next month too.
Right. Oh, That's right. My book, Mantle, if I can remember the name, is coming out next month, April 20th. Yeah, I'm excited. This is the third book in the Whispers on the Wind series. It tells the story beginning with the prophet Elisha as he takes on the mantle of Elijah and kind of runs into a little bit of pushback from his fellow prophets. So the life of a prophet is not always easy. So tune in and find out a little more about Elisha and Jaden, who has been a character in the previous book. Jaden is in this book, and you will see a little bit of a return of the eagle. So.
Oh, very cool. Can't wait.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be worth the wait for that one. I know it
was a bit of a wait, wasn't it?
But that just builds anticipation more.
Hope so. Hope everybody didn't forget me. Who's that Dana? Is she right, or is she the ice cream lady?
The ice cream lady.
The ice cream truck lady.
That's funny. Yeah, so Mantle's coming out next month. That's exciting. I just turned in a document for edits for And They Were Persuaded, which is Acts of Faith Volume 2. So excited for that off of the creative brain part of it. And yeah, so that's coming out. I'm not sure when.
Love that story. I mean, it's so exciting to see all the people that were coming to the Lord at that time. And so I just am really excited to hear the retelling of that.
Yeah. It's so it continues from And the Numbers Crew, which is also Acts. That one is basically looking at how the church was shaped from Saul/Paul. And then this one is journeying with Paul on the missionary journeys. So it's It's still 4 novellas co-written with Donna E. Lane, who is absolutely brilliant. And so yeah, we're excited about that. It's with edits and moving forward. So that's good.
You guys are quite a team. That's wonderful.
So, all right, now we can talk about Liz.
Okay.
Elizabeth, I'm sorry.
Either one.
Do you go by Liz at all? Because that's your.
It's my handle. It's complicated. In real life, I'm Elizabeth.
Okay, Elizabeth.
But
right. Fair. That's fair. All right. So Elizabeth Jacobson is from sunny California, who loves the Bible, fantasy, and science fiction. She got bit by the writing bug. She got writ by the bug. Okay. Bit by the writing bug at age 13 and has been frantically putting words on pages ever since. Not by Sight is a novel of the patriarchs, her first novel. It was also a double Carol finalist. Congratulations, Elizabeth.
Whoa.
We're so glad to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here talking to you guys live. This is the first time I've done something live. So if I'm tripping over my words,
hey,
because I'm nervous.
Yeah, if there's any tripping, I can guarantee that Dana and I will be right there with you. So
okay, good.
Yeah, we're in good company.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, do I get to read the back cover copy?
Yes. Please.
Okay. Ready?
Ready.
Okay. Beloved, betrayed, despised, exalted. What could make a man turn to God when every event in his life screams that God has turned his back on him? Joseph, the 11th son of the patriarch Jacob, had his father's favor, and that was his downfall. Sold into Egypt by his enraged and jealous brothers, Joseph is left with nothing to cling to except the stories of his father's God, a seemingly remote and unreachable figure. Faith may prove futile, but Joseph is desperate, for the very hate that enslaved his brothers has begun to overtake him. Well, that sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's so powerful. I love how how he had to really make that journey of like he had to get himself on right so many times, and how accurate is that?
I think that's what happens with characters in our books. They all are going to have a little bit of conflict that they have to overcome. You know, if they have some bad things happen to them, they're just not going to go on their cheery way. Oh, I love the Lord. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
So that makes it fun.
So powerful. So tell us a little bit about you, Elizabeth. What makes
about me?
About you. What makes you tick besides writing?
Writing makes me tick. For those of you who don't follow me closely on social media, I got diagnosed with a chronic illness. So that's kind of been like looming over my life since right after the Carol Awards. I am doing better, thank God, which is why I'm talking about Not by Side again and starting to write again. So that's kind of been like the overpowering thing in my life for the last year and a half. But now I'm starting to, head back into writing, and I grew up on the British writers, Austen and Lewis and Tolkien. So that's kind of two very different genres, but I love the melding of faith and fiction. This is my cat Belle. And I especially love the melding of faith with speculative fiction and biblical fiction. Biblical fiction, of course, because it's going to have that element in it, but speculative fiction because you can really dig deep into themes and symbology and what faith really means through ways that are sometimes more accessible to people who are not open to reading biblical fiction, for instance.
Yeah, I think just like you're saying, speculative fiction, but also fantasy, the miracles and the acts of God, they fit into that. We know they're true, but readers, you can get as deep as you want with it, and they'll accept it, I think, in this kind of a context, because it seems like speculative to them.
Yeah, you can talk about a lot of difficult things in a fantastical or futuristic setting,
right?
Because it's a little bit removed from like everyday life, and people are a lot more accepting and open to like considering, what you have to say. So I love that about.
Now grab Belle for a minute, turn her around so we can see her face.
Yeah, she loves to face the other way. This is Belle.
Hey,
Here
kitty.
she is.
Oh, cute.
What a cutie.
You walk on the keyboard, honey. You can walk anywhere else, but not on the keyboard.
That's funny. Now I got distracted. Let's see, what was I going to just ask you about? Naomi, do you have a question to ask?
I was curious if you have other fiction works in speculative.
Yeah, so I actually I had two books written in a fantasy trilogy right when I got sick. So I had one book that was like pretty well edited. That was the first book. Not quite to my liking, but pretty well done. And the second book was drafted. I am a pantser by nature, so I wasn't going to publish the first one without finishing at least the first draft of the third one, because I knew I would have to change something in the first one. But so I'm hoping to get back into writing book 3 of that. And then I do also hope to return to biblical fiction in the future. So
awesome.
Yeah.
I do remember what I was going to kind of just mention is that, you were saying that you had you developed a chronic illness. Well, I mean, there's a lot of authors that we've interviewed, like Lana Christensen, and of course, Colleen, not in biblical, but in Colleen Coble. She's had some chronic illness problems for a long time. So, and I believe
Mr. Andrews.
And I'm not even sure if Angela Hunt also has said so. But anyway, I think it can be something, a lot of writers maybe struggle with.
Yeah.
Wonder if there's a tie in there.
Or you have all this all this downtime, and it's a creative outlet where you can still do something. Maybe
it's like a chicken and the egg question.
Yeah, right.
But we're very thankful for the Lord giving you hope. All of you ladies mentioned giving you hope, and gentlemen too, of keeping going and still contributing to our entertainment, I guess, when you're suffering. So that's very cool.
The next question, I always kind of like to get this out of the way early, because what is the one question you most want to answer, but you're kind of afraid we might not ask?
Ooh,
I thought long and hard about this, and I want to talk about what I call my flannel graph TED Talk, but there was no way anyone was going to ask me about that. So I'm just going to talk about the flannel graph TED Talk.
Great.
So the long and short of it is, when I thought about writing as a novelization of the Joseph story, the first thing you kind of think about when you think about Joseph is like back in Sunday school when they would put the little guys on the flannel graph, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at, I love you put it there, flannel graph TED Talk. I love that. If you think about what is commonly said about Joseph when you imagine the flannel graph Sunday school lesson, it's sanitized, but it's also very unrelatable even to kids, because they put Joseph up on the flannel graph and they say, his father gave him a beautiful present, and his brothers hated him, and he was sent to Egypt, and he ended up a slave, and then he ended up in jail. And then, Pharaoh, found him because he interpreted some dreams, and now he's, second in command of Egypt, and he loves God, and Joseph is just this perfect, great guy. And then his brothers come, and he forgives all of them. Isn't Joseph awesome, guys? And everyone's just kind of like, yeah, but I guess, but he doesn't sound like a real person.
Yeah, for real.
So I think it's important to, with any biblical character in Sunday school and in big church, as you know, it sometimes gets called, to talk about their humanity. I mean, there's a trend in a sense to want to put characters in the Bible as much as possible on pedestals because they're in the Bible.
Right.
And therefore we must learn from them, which is true. But to really learn from a person, you have to relate to them. And we can't relate to humans who are perfect. Yeah. The only person who's perfect is Jesus. And he is in us with the Holy Spirit helping us do that. A human is not, in any sense of the word, able to do that. So I think it's important to discuss the humanity of Joseph and any biblical character and the struggles that he must have gone through, given what he was put through, and how that likely would have affected his faith and the way he perceived God and what he struggled with. It's not all, sunshine and rainbows on the flannel graph. So that's kind of my flannel graph TED Talk.
I love it. Well, I was kind of hoping that you really did do a TED Talk on the TED Talk show.
That would be awesome, but no,
wouldn't that be awesome?
My little I use that phrase in real life, like, I have a TED Talk on that, like 5-minute spiel.
Very good job.
I love it. So what led you to writing biblical fiction or biblical era fiction?
It's funny. What I love the most when I write and when I read, more than like a genre, be it, fantasy or science fiction or biblical fiction, is I love character. And I love dramatic character growth and drama that people have to go through. And when you look at the Bible and you look at Joseph, you're like, there's the drama. There it is, right there. So I loved the story because it was dramatic and because there must be in the Bible is generally very short when it comes to describing motivation, because that's not necessarily the point. But if you look under the things that happen, you can kind of guesstimate what some of the motivation must have been. So if you look at the Joseph story and you look at the dramatic events that that are happening, that then you can kind of say, well, okay, well, what was the motivation for this? And why would this person have done that? And some of the changes that must have been happening between people or within people between events must have been huge. And so how do you get from point A to point B? And that seemed like such an interesting, writing prompt. Like, how did they get from here to here? Yeah. And, for my first novel, me being such a pantser by nature, it was nice to have a story to write that had signposts already, because there are events laid out in the Bible and you have to get from here to here to here to here. So it was nice to have kind of an outline of a story that I really, really liked already. So that was kind of how that happened. Yeah. And as I was writing it, it became very clear that because everyone is so familiar with the signposts of the Joseph story, like there's the Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat. There's the one we all watched in Sunday school. What is it, like King of Dreams or something like that? It's a cartoon. Yeah. We know the events pretty well. Probably he's one of the biblical figures that has the most like well-known events in his life, just like generally. So it became clear to me pretty quickly that there wasn't going to be much good in focusing solely on those events, because people know that already. So it wasn't going to be super interesting. So the nature of the growth that must have happened in his character between the events, and also the fact that the events are so well known, led me to want to have the central plot almost be more his internal growth, rather than just the external things that were happening to him. I felt that was a little bit of a different approach than what was like commonly seen. So
yeah. I think you're right. I mean, I think for myself, it's kind of the same thing. And I would imagine maybe for Naomi too, where I'm definitely a pantser. You are too, aren't you, Naomi?
I am to some degree. I like having that signpost all laid out. I like an outline more, but I have done like full on plotting. So if you're just tuning in and pantser plotting, that doesn't make sense to you.
Oh, sorry.
It's writer talk. No, you're good. It's writer talk for going by the seat of your pants. Like you don't necessarily have. I mean, this varies obviously between the author, but you don't have like it all spread out and know where the story is going. It just kind of comes as it hopefully comes as you progress with the story naturally. So
yeah, for me it's usually like 3 or 4 points ahead. I can maybe I can have a few ahead, and sometimes those have to change once I've written a scene. I go, oh no, it's going to have to angle.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the Bible has to be there and has to be right to the Bible. And so that's kind of where we have at least what we're talking about, signposts that we have to put in.
Right. Yeah, that's helpful for me to know where it's going. So if I did the work ahead of time, then I feel like I'd be better prepared. But then like it's like this whole struggle inside my mind of not doing the work and then wanting to do the work and wishing I had. So, that's fun. I don't know what you call that. That's kind of
it's called being a writer.
There's the other piece, like she was talking about the characters too and the motivation, because you have to understand your character really well so that your character would do what you want them to do. And so that's kind of the other thing, is like you're writing down all the stuff about the character. So I found it's good to write out their name somewhere so that I spell it the same way all the way through.
So how did you decide which Joseph, which Pharaoh to do?
You mean like Old Testament versus New Testament?
No, I mean if you look at because Egyptian history is not very helpful sometimes because they would erase the people of guys they wanted to forget off of their wall. So just in that, like I know that there's several different speculated. This could have been the Pharaoh of Joseph, or this was the vizier.
So there's some passages in the Bible that can sort of help you to do like backwards math from when the Exodus was, and then you can do backwards math from when Joseph was. And there are some like different interpretations of some of the Exodus math. I said on 1800 BC because the timeline, I actually have a blog post about it. I haven't thought about it in a while. The timeline of Egyptian history and history of the Levant matches up very well to the recorded events in Genesis and Exodus if you place Joseph in 1800 BC. Nice. So that's sort of what I did. I just said, well, it fits here. One of the math interpretations works here, and I like it here. So I stayed there with him. What's interesting is the Middle Kingdom Egypt, the capital of the 12th dynasty, which is when I placed Joseph, hasn't actually been dug up. They know where it is, or they believe they know where it is due to like LiDAR when they scan the desert.
Interesting.
But they haven't gone and dug it up. So I always, am hoping to see, news articles about them digging it up because I'm not going to like bank on the fact that I'm right, but I would love to see what they find.
That's awesome.
So that was actually one of my like interesting facts I had for further down on the questions was they haven't dug it up. So a lot of the ancient Egyptian capitals have been built over. Like Memphis, which was a capital for a long time, is now Cairo, basically. So they can't dig that much because there's like city on top of it. So this would be an interesting site in that it's a capital that has nothing on top of it. So
oh, very cool. Is it? I think it's your question.
Okay. All right. Tell us why you chose to write historical fiction set in Bible times, and have you also written in other genres? Although I think I know the answers to those.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that.
Let's go on. Okay, name one or two authors, living or dead, whom you'd like to chat with and why, and what would you ask?
I think my top answer is not a biblical fiction author. I think I would want to chat with J.R.R. Tolkien. He was amazing at working faith into his writing. For those who don't know, he's the one who wrote Lord of the Rings, which on its surface is not
the Christian.
It's not like Narnia where you're like, oh, this is an allegory. But if you go through Tolkien's like entire corpus, especially a lot of the stuff that was published posthumously, you can see how much he was thinking about things like how God works good through evil, and things like the nature of humanity as a fallen species, and the nature of the hand of providence and what is the hand of providence that we like. People talk about, providence and like air quotes, but like, what is that, in the background? And he's very good at this tone that I so want to capture in his writing of like such a bittersweet, like knowing that things are changing and they will never be the same, and that so much has been lost, but also that there is still hope and something greater in the future. It's this just like achingly beautiful to me sense of faith and trust in God despite everything that we see that is, bad in the world. And I want to capture that, and I don't know how. So I love to chat with him for a long time. He had an amazing brain.
I love it. That's awesome. I think that's really well put too, because it's easy to not pay attention to the bad that's going on, because we've got that hope. All things work together for good for those who are called according to his purpose. But bad things happen. Like that's a really beautiful. I love how you said that. All right, so
a little bit today too, just reading something. It's like, okay, well, why do I like this story that has bad things happening in it, but I don't like this other one and don't want to finish it? And that's just why. It's that sense of hope. And
Yeah.
I think that's what Christian fiction brings to bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like we already talked about what gave you your first idea. So where does Not by Sight begin in the Joseph timeline?
Yeah. So the first chapter is set when Joseph is 14, which is before the well incident, which is when he was 17. So they're already in Canaan. If you remember your Joseph history, he was born in modern day Turkey because his family was living with Laban at the time. So by the time he's 14, I have him in Canaan. Benjamin has been born. His mother has passed away. And I introduce the awkward, inappropriate tryst between Reuben and Bilhah, who is one of Jacob's concubines, because I needed to set that up first before any of the other events happened, because I use that as one of the reasons why Jacob, as Joseph grows older, starts to favor Joseph, because Reuben is the eldest and he's doing, this.
Yeah.
I use that as one of the reasons why Jacob starts to favor Joseph, other than the fact that, of course, he's Rachel's firstborn and Rachel was the favorite wife. And there's going to be problems when you have to say the word favorite wife. So
that's a good idea. That's a good motivation. I like that.
Thank you.
And it's right there. So
start with the drama.
Yep.
Tell us 3 interesting things about Not by Sight. These can be exciting actions, setting locations, research conundrums, shocking mistakes you nearly missed, or anything else about your book that might interest your readers without any spoilers.
I went with factoids for this one. And I did mention part of one, which is that we have not dug up the Capitol. So I think it'd be a fascinating thing to do. We do have, however, the first, that's a spoiler. I'll come back to that in a second. I'll say it a different way and no one will know. We do have some artifacts from the 12th dynasty because the burial grounds were not within the city. So you can actually go to the Met and other museums and see things that certain characters who are in the royal family in my story actually wore. So that's cool. The princess in particular, her tomb was not completely robbed. They have a problem in Old Kingdom Egypt and Middle Kingdom Egypt with grave robbery because they like to put giant pyramids over people's graves, which is a big sign that says, "Hey, there's a bunch of gold here."
Yeah.
So they have a grave robbery issue in those 2 eras. But her tomb had been robbed, but a box had been dropped. So at the Met in particular, and at the Cairo Museum, there's a lot of her jewelry and personal effects. And she's got a mascara coal tube that looks like a modern, coal tube. She's got, jewelry I would wear. So she was a cool girl. We do have the pyramid of Senusret II, who appears in my story. It is not in good condition. It's not like the pyramids at Cairo, Giza. His is crumbled. I believe it might have been stripped of the stone because Egyptians used to do that. And then the interior is just kind of mud and sand, and that sort of crumbled over time. But we do know the location of his pyramid. So we do have some things, but we haven't dug up the Capitol. So that's kind of the first thing. I spent a lot of time on that. The second thing, this will be quick. As far as we know, we don't have any record of wedding ceremonies in ancient Egypt. We just have paperwork. They would sign a paper, and as far as we know, that's all they would do. There is a wedding in my book, and if you know the Joseph story, you might be able to guess what the wedding is. And I wasn't gonna not have a party, so I just set it a couple of days afterward as a celebration, and I was like, sure, they can have a party. The Pharaoh's trying to make a point.
Yeah.
Pharaoh's
highest ranking official.
Yeah, he can have a party if he wants to. So when these people do get married, they just sign a paper because that's what we have record of. We have no record of parties. And then the last thing is actually a lot of the ancient Egyptian place names that I used are not the actual place names. They are the Greek words for the place names that were given later because that's what's known to us.
Yeah.
I actually started draft 1 with using all the Egyptian names, and then I realized that no one was going to know anything about what the places I was talking about. And one of the cool things about the Joseph story is that a lot of people have heard of at least some of these places.
Right.
And I wanted it to be relatable. So I switched back to the Greek names. So like everyone's heard of Memphis, Tennessee in the US, but that's named after Memphis, which was the capital of a lot of dynasties in ancient Egypt. People have heard of Heliopolis a lot because it's named in the Bible. That's another Greek word for an Egyptian city. And Thebes, people have heard of Thebes maybe in reference to ancient Greece, but there was also a Thebes in Egypt. That was the Greeks named a place again. So I just went with what we would know because I wanted the story to feel a little more grounded. It was the same reason why I used words relating to brain and mind to talk about thought rather than heart, which is what the ancient Egyptians thought the center of thought was.
Right.
But if I spoke in terms of that, it would be like, in a sense, removed from our like understanding. And one of the key things I wanted with this book was relatability.
Right.
So I went with the words that we would know. So
yeah, I think I like, and that's, I mean, for what I'm specifically thinking of is when when authors will put in the Hebrew names or the official traditional names of the Bible person. And I'm like, that's jarring for me because I personally am not connected to you. If your name is not Isaac, like I know it in my Bible, then I'm jarred out of that. So that makes a lot of sense. But I know that's a personal preference. I know a lot of people really actually like that where they put in and then you can have a glossary in the back if you want to do it that way. So yeah, definitely preference. Yeah, definitely a preference. So so what would you be? Were you gonna say something, Dana?
No, you go next, and then I think I have one more.
Okay. What would you want? What would you be? Excuse me. What would you want your readers to take away from Not by Sight?
I think the most important thing for me when telling the story sort of goes back to my TED Talk. It's the imperfection of people in the Bible and the imperfection of human faith and how it's not okay to be imperfect, but that's the Holy Spirit's job to work through us to make us more and more like Jesus. It is the way I wanted Joseph to grow. He was going to make so many mistakes and have so many misunderstandings of God and how God worked and what God was about and who God was and what God meant. And that is okay because he wanted to understand God, and on our journeys to grow closer to God, we are going to have errors, and then God is going to correct us, and then we're going to grow and we're going to move forward. It doesn't have to start in this place of perfection. It can't start in this place of perfection because we are fallen people, and we cannot in our own power start this in a place of perfection. So that was kind of the biggest message that I wanted to pass on, was just like faith is, I remember that passage in one of the Gospels where Jesus is talking to a man, and the man says, "Lord, I believe, help my unbelief." That is faith. It is acknowledgement that we need help and that God can help us and God will help us. So that's sort of my biggest hope, that people would learn from Not by Sight. Yeah.
And it's authentic. And I think people respond to that. And they don't, like you said, respond to the perfect flannel board Jesus. They respond to the
flannel board Joseph.
Joseph. They respond to the imperfect that is relatable because that's how they are and what they need. The thing I was going to ask, it's not on here, but as you were talking and I was listening, I was going, boy, she's got a lot of interesting points to talk about. And I bet you when she talks to her friends, they're all like, I've got to buy that book. And I'm sure our watchers are thinking the same thing today. But I'm also kind of curious. A lot of authors will have like a note from the author, or they'll have for additional reading. Do you have anything like that in your book? Or
I have a small note at the end, mentioning a lot of the things specifically that I had to make up or kind of with ancient Egyptian history, because there's so much that we don't know. So that's in the back. But I also have a blog series on my website that goes over a lot of the things that I've been talking about and mentioning, and a lot of my research. So if you go on my website, despised.com, you can go to blog, and then you can click on the subheading, the Joseph story. And I have a lot of sort of thoughts and TED Talks on my research. And you can read a lot of sort of the things that I've been talking about in greater detail, and a lot of things that we don't have time to talk about. So.
And there it is, headdeskliz.com.
Banging my head on the desk.
Also the sign of being a writer. I love it.
Well, do you have any last questions, Naomi, for her?
No, I don't. I love it. I really enjoyed your book. Congratulations on your filing. I really did appreciate that perspective of Joseph, because we were in his head about all of his, like, why is this happening? And I can't do this. And, he wasn't perfect, and he was very relatable, but I loved his growth. And I think I saw on a review recently that his prayer life grew so much too. And it was just
saw that. I need to respond to her again, because she wrote a little more. I was so honored to read about that. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, would you like to read a little bit from your book?
Yes, and I practiced, because I'm not a very good read alouder. So hopefully this goes okay. Okay.
Oh, show us the book before you start.
This is the book. Here it is. So this is towards the beginning. Let me check the chapter just for reference. This is chapter 4. This is after Joseph has had his second dream. So he's still in Canaan with his family at age 17. Okay. And have you guys been able to hear me okay on my mic? Time? Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I'll just speak normally. It was a very different scene at the morning meal the next day. Joseph came late, just as the others were sitting, walking in a haze of sleeplessness. He must have looked horribly spent. He could feel the eyes of the others on him, even Bilhah and Zilpah and Leah. Are you well, my son? Jacob asked quietly. Yes, father, Joseph answered, trying to stifle a yawn as he sat. I think the dreamer has slept too much, he heard Levi mutter to Simeon. Jacob glanced sharply at Levi and then turned to Joseph. What is this Levi speaks of? Joseph stared down at the piece of bread he had just taken, and one of his brothers stifled a guffaw. He saw Dinah, from the corner of his eye, looking at him questioningly. Finally, Asher snickered. Why don't you tell father what you told us yesterday? My son? Jacob questioned again. Resisting the urge to squirm in his seat, Joseph resignedly answered, I had a dream. One dream? His father asked. He could not lie to his father. His brothers had set him up without even knowing it. And another, last night, he finally added. Asher and Levi hooted, and several of his brothers made sounds of disgust. Silence, for heaven's sake, Jacob said. He relayed the events of the first dream without looking up. Then he rushed into the second dream, only wanting to get it over with. I dreamt that the sun, the moon, and 11 stars came down from the heavens and bowed to me. The table erupted in sounds of objection, and Simeon threw down his food and stalked off. Dinah was gaping at him, and Leah covered her mouth in shock. Enough, said Jacob. The table grew silent. I will hear no more of such things this morning. Abashed, Joseph determinedly met no one's eyes for the rest of the meal. He stood to leave as soon as was permissible, hoping to cede to the donkeys in relative peace. But his father's firm hand on his shoulder stopped him short. Joseph, I would speak with you. His stomach sank. He walked with his father, who guided him towards his tent. Joseph once ventured to glance backwards, but his father's eyes were distant, almost unseeing. They entered, and Joseph took his seat on a stool and waited for his father's reprimand. It came forcefully. "What is this, Joseph? Shall I and your brothers, and indeed your mother, may her memory be blessed, bow down to the earth before you?" Joseph grimaced. The dreams, especially the second one, had not seemed so intensely egregious until his father spoke them out loud. Then Jacob sighed loudly. "My son, why did you speak of such a thing to your brothers?" "I was angry. Look at me, Joseph." He looked up. His father's gaze was unreadable. "Dreams such as these are not to be spoken of lightly." Joseph stared at him. Jacob continued, "The meaning of any dream belongs to God. It is not for us to parade our own interpretations about, especially interpretations of such dreams." "Father," Joseph managed, bewildered. It was not quite the scolding he expected. "What do you mean? Do you mean to say that my dreams—" Jacob held up a hand, and Joseph fell silent. "I will speak no more on this," his father said firmly. He held open the flap of the tent. Cowed, Joseph bowed and left in silence.
Very good.
Thank you.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, we've come to the point of our live where we're going to play a game, and I have not seen anybody besides Chelsea hanging out with us, and that was very brief. So this is going to change a little bit.
Okay.
Our game is basically who can draw it better, Pictionary type thing. If you're watching in the replay, we're going to have 1 minute, all three of us, to draw something. And then we will hold up our amazing artwork.
And you have to vote for us.
You have to
And
vote who did the
it
better.
really behoove you to vote because the book prize that is going to be given away is based on comments. And if I win, I think you get 2 points. And if someone else wins, you only get 1 point.
Yeah, it was the winner. Let's see, how did that? It was, yeah, if somebody, the winner got like an exceptional amount of points, and then the losers got less.
Put a lot of comments in, and you have a better chance of winning.
Yes. Each comment gets you entered in to the drawing. So hopefully we'll get more people watching on the other ends.
Yeah.
But how do you ladies feel? I thought we would just start out with and have our watchers suggest things for us. But how do you ladies feel about, like, should we just keep it at animals, or do you want to try scenes from Joseph's, like our little flannel graph?
Let's do the flannel graph.
What are we drawing?
I was as we're listening to the story and the talk, I was thinking we could do little scenes from Joseph's story and see how. Is that workable?
I need 2 minutes for that.
2 minutes? Okay. How about a minute and a half?
All right. All right.
Timing.
Okay.
We'll start out with something easy. If you can draw in front. If not, that's also fine. Let me set my timer for 90 seconds. The first one, let's start out with something easy like sheep and get us going for that. So, okay, let me get to the timer. One minute and 30 seconds. So we'll start out with sheep. Ready?
Oh, okay.
I'm already drawing.
I already started. I didn't know.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
I'm not sure I know what sheep look like.
That is not working. Hold on.
I kind of remember some sheep at one time in my neighbor's backyard, and in fact, I had to help carry them. But all I remember was the wool, and they weighed like 500 pounds.
500. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Wow.
they were like shaking us all over the place when we were trying to catch them and put them in the backyard again.
And you had to carry these babies?
Well, we were like trying to herd them, Okay, ready? And they crunched us against the walls as we were going through the gate. So there's like 3 sheep.
Oh.
3 bad sheep.
3 sheep.
Aww.
Here's my you.
Oh, yours is good. And she has a bow in her hair, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Nice. Oh, you got Joseph watching them. All right. So if you are voting for, okay, I'm going to write what we're voting on here. Look at us. We did that even with less than, we were right around a minute on that. So let me write in here what we're doing. Sheep.
Sheep. Okay. Are we done?
Hold on. I'm going to show this. So we're voting on sheep. So if you're voting for Elizabeth sheep, then go ahead and put Elizabeth under sheep. If you're voting for Dana sheep, put Dana. And if you're voting for mine, for sheep, for Naomi.
I think, who got the most conflict into their sheep?
The most conflict.
She's got her flannel graph happening. All right. The next one. Wait. Hold on. The next one, we're going to do Joseph and his colored coats.
Oh, I'm glad I got the colored pencils.
Yeah, me too. Okay.
Okay, tell me when you're ready.
Okay, you guys can go ahead and start. I'm going to post this up here. All right, here we go.
I don't even know. This is full flannel graph.
Oh, I didn't bring an eraser. That's a problem with my plan.
Use your trick. Use your hand.
I know, it's all smudgy.
Oh.
Oh, man. This is going to be a fun one.
Ah.
$20 seconds left. You guys are going to be amazed at my artistic abilities.
I am going to be jaw-dropping. So amazed at everyone's talent.
All right, that's time.
Yes.
He ended up like sumo arms. Oh, look at that. It's cute.
Wow.
Oh, nice. Very nice. We've got beard action happening. And
Yeah, I forgot to give the bottom of his tunic. There we go.
oh, good. That's good. Oh, look at all the colors.
Ooh. No beard on yours. I don't know. Is that authentic?
Well, he's 17, so it depends on the kid.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sure my sumo arms are definitely authentic. All right. If you are voting for Elizabeth on this one, if you are voting, here's Dana's one more time. And here is my amazing drawing. So go ahead and put those who you think did the best drawing of that in the comments below. And then our next one, how about the brothers, the well, Joseph in the well, something from that scene.
Oh, dramatic. There's the conflict.
There's the conflict. Something from that scene.
Huh.
Okay. Are we starting?
Go ahead.
Okay. How did we? Okay. This picture breaks the laws of physics, but that's okay.
Yeah. I'm afraid mine does too. Oh well.
Well, it's going to be amazing. I hear your pencils all scribbling furiously.
There are a lot of brothers.
That's true. Ten seconds. And time.
Okay. Mine's a mess.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna move it so we have individual focus on this. All right, Liz, you're first.
Oh yeah, in all of its glory. Yeah, here we go.
Oh no. There he is, going
You
down.
get 12 in. I think you might win if you got all 12.
It's 11 because in my story, Benjamin is still very young, so
Ben doesn't go. Ben's not going to throw him in. All right, Dana, what do you got?
I have 10. And
pretty
here's
good.
my picture.
Whoa!
Here's my well.
Wow!
Here's them, and they're going.
That dreamer.
That dreamer.
I love it. And here's mine.
Oh, they look angry.
Oh, good.
Oh,
you got him carrying your coat. Good job.
In there at the bottom.
I think mine is going to be Joseph in the zebra colored coat because I got the black and white stripes.
It was
black and white camera,
brought in all the way from south of Egypt. It cost a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
South of Egypt.
It's foreshadowing. That's what we're doing. All right. What about something? Let's do Potiphar's wife.
Oh no.
All right.
Like, is this Potiphar's wife being G-rated or PG-rated?
G-rated.
Okay.
I think I added too many S's there. Okay. Potiphar's wife. Right, go.
Oh my goodness.
Oops.
Maybe I'll do. Yeah. Okay.
I'm just getting better and better at these.
Oh, yeah. I can't figure out how to do this part. Shoot.
Oh, I think she has named as a child. Her arm's kind of weird.
Nope. Oh, well, something's happening here. I'm not sure what.
And that's time. All right. Dana, what do you got? Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Look at her. That's good. Kind of scared.
Got a latitude.
That was very good. All right, Elizabeth.
Okay, she's supposed to be looking in a mirror, but the hand is disembodied.
Oh, that's good.
That is good.
She's very intense. No, I'm really. All right. There's
Look at
the question mark. Like, what?
You know what? That was actually just not erased.
But actually, I think it's perfect.
his eyes and everything in his mouth.
I got
That's hilarious.
Little heart eyes there.
And she's got hearts in her eyes.
Come on, Joseph, you're so cute. All right, what about Pharaoh's dream?
Pharaoh's dream.
Mm-hmm. Any part of Pharaoh's dream, that sequence.
Okay.
And starting the timer.
I can't draw really skinny cows. I don't know how. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
What am I doing? This is why is this not? Why am I even trying this?
This is it, Naomi. No more after this.
This is not good.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I don't even know. Okay.
Oh man!
Brother, yeah.
All right, that's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. All right, I got Pharaoh and
Oh,
cave drawing.
I love the beard.
I'm not sure I remember this dream very well.
Might not be.
Okay, there's
The corn.
7 ears of wheat
Yeah,
coming out of the Nile. But
I love it.
I was going, maybe it was the cows that came out of the
I believe it's the cows, and then there's birds that eat the cakes. No,
Okay.
wait, that's
No,
the baker.
there's healthy grains that are eaten by sickly grains. Like it's the same story.
Yeah, but
Oh.
these are the fatter grains.
These
Yeah,
are-
see,
they
just ask
are-
Naomi. She's the one who knows about the book that I wrote about.
I remember my Joseph stories.
Good
Like
I remembered the cattle, but
Yes.
I knew I wouldn't be able to draw the cattle that fast.
oh, I love it. That's a
That's
happy
pretty
cow.
Did you do the fat and the skinny?
Yeah, I got the skinny
One fat,
ones
one
over
skinny.
here.
Good
This is the
job.
line, and then
Yeah,
got the
you know, you
Yeah.
probably got the best feel there.
Poor Pharaoh. He'd have some really bad dreams.
Yeah.
I woke up and there were these things. I don't know what they were. Like,
I'm so distraught. Yes, you are, my friend. All right. Do either of you have a suggestion on our last one? Any?
Do we still have time?
We're just about out, but we've already done the readings, so we could do one more, I think.
Okay. All right.
Let's do Joseph's brothers arrive to ask for grain.
All right. Joseph's brothers arrive.
Okay.
Nope. Not Pharaoh's dream again. There we go.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, crap. How do I do this? Shoot. Okay. Can you tell this is a person? I don't know. Oh, I guess they're not bowing yet. That's okay. I don't know how to draw bowing stick figures. So.
All right, that's time. All right. Elizabeth, what you got?
Here we go.
Oh, look at that. Even Joseph's profile happening.
Do you think you could put any of these in your book still, in the ebook?
No, that was okay.
I feel like you could, like, extra bonus. You get these.
This is the special stick figure edition. There's a limited print. Like, oh, please.
That's so cute.
There's candles.
Look at that. That's adorable. I love it. I love it. So mine's a little bit like on the later end of the grain, but
oh no, the cup in there.
Yeah,
and funny how we all
and everyone's all shocked, and even this brother's
no. Yeah, good.
No, don't take Benjamin. You'll send our dear old father to the grave with gray hairs.
Have you ever played Telestrations?
No.
That sounds, is it like telephone but with illustrations?
Yeah.
Like you pass it from one to another. I believe I have. Yeah.
Yes, that's like a favorite at our youth group, but it reminds me of this because you can always get such a broad display of artistic abilities, and when you actually get someone who can draw, it's like, whoa. It's pretty funny.
That was fun.
So awesome. Well, we're hoping you're going to be watching in the replay, and make sure to comment. Make sure that you are getting your entries in for the giveaway. The comments will be left open through Saturday night. And I really encourage you, put this on your list. Not by Sight is an excellent book. And we're really excited to have more great biblical fiction books, even about Joseph. Like, I know we've seen all the Joseph books, but it really is. It's a different, fresh approach. And I know you're going to love it as much as I did as well. So thank you all for tuning in on the live stream. Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. It was so much fun.
It really was fun.
And Elizabeth will be following along and checking in on comments, and we'll see if we can't get some interaction happening on the replay. And then we'll put this live on YouTube after the drawing is done, but not live on YouTube. It won't be live because we're not going to come on every time on YouTube.
You do this every time someone clicks play.
Here we are. You can see my drawing. It's amazing. Thank you so much for being a part of our biblical fiction community. We're so thankful for all of you. Be sure you're getting your comments in and engage with Elizabeth. And you can find her at headdeskliz.com. I'm going to write that on there one more time for that.
Thank you. And then I'm also at Head Desk Liz on Facebook and on Instagram. I'm a little bit more active on Instagram, but I'm also on Facebook. So.
Awesome. Good deal. All right. Well, until next time, we will see you around online.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. I will be seeing you also.
And you'll be seeing my stuff in your dreams.
Yeah.
Don't interpret that.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.